Welcome in to the CHGO White Sox podcast, coming to you live from the National Sports Collectors Convention. The National, as we call it in the biz.
Yeah.
Welcome in. We are coming to you live from Rosemont, Illinois. I'm your host, Sean Anderson. You can follow us on X at Sean_W_Anderson. Follow the show on X at CHGO_White Sox.
Mine has not changed to X yet. I'm still all Twitter whenever it opens.
Right, it's still Twitter.com.
But I've got no logos. I've still got the bird.
Sean on his computer has
an
X in the corner.
Interesting.
Yeah, right when you sign on to it, you'll see a little X on the screen, too.
Oh, not for me.
It still says tweet.
Maybe it's because I'm in the app only and you're on the website. That could be. But you know what? I'm very happy to be in Rosemont. It's those ones that end in Mont, great for the Chicago accent. Rosemont, Lamont. There's Westmont. There's no better intersection for a Chicago accent in the city than Cicero and Belmont.
That's Vinnie Duber. You can follow him on Twitter at Vinnie Duber. He's our CHGO White Sox beat writer and our street expert. That's Herb Lawrence.
Hello.
What's your favorite city in Chicago?
That area he's talking about is in Belmont-Cragen. Belmont-Cragen.
Belmont. The old Score Studios used to be on Belmont.
Right there.
Yeah.
What he was explaining is the Score Studio was like a block away from there. I went by there a couple of weeks ago in Decrepit.
No, the bunker. That's Herb Lawrence. You can follow him on Twitter at Ecknerwall23. He's our CHGO White Sox community leader. We are coming to you live again from the National in Rosemont. After a crosstown series that was pretty dull. We do want to thank our friends over at Hooters, though, for their crosstown.
I'm sorry, dull? Last night? That was anything but dull.
My feelings are dull after watching the White Sox lose 2 straight to the Cubs. But our CHGO Crosstown Classic coverage is brought to you by Hooters. Hooters is your spot to catch all the games this season. Step up to our plate for world-famous wings, delicious seafood, stacked sandwiches, salads, great drink specials, and more. At Hooters, it's always easy to pick a winner. 11 Chicagoland locations. Herb's been to all of them. Visit originalhooters.com for more info. So let's set it up. Let's go through the day yesterday. Let's talk a little bit about the White Sox game. Let's talk a little bit pre-game because we heard a lot of rumors about Lance Lynn. That crazy game happens where it wasn't dull, as Vinny wanted to
Not
know.
dull.
And then we're driving home on the bus back to Gaelic Park in Oak Forest, and Lucas Giolito is traded. A wild day. We're going to take you through all of it. How surprised are you guys that Lucas Giolito is the first player traded off the Sox?
Yeah, I mean,
and Reynaldo López.
Right. I think that kind of is the thing that surprised most folks around the game is the timing of this. Not that Lucas Giolito was going to be traded, because he was supposed to be traded maybe more so than anybody, at least on the Sox roster, if not in the game of baseball. And he's gone here on a Wednesday night when the deadline is the following Tuesday evening. I think a lot of folks thought that this was going to go all the way to the end just because, hey, he's one of the highest, most interest starters on the market. That's what people want at the trade deadline. Start that bidding war and let it go. But, hey, the White Sox return in this deal is getting pretty well reviewed. I think Ken Rosenthal called it a coup this morning in his write-up for The Athletic. So to get 2 of the top 3 prospects of the organization that Lucas and Reynaldo went to, the Los Angeles Angels, seems like a decent return. It might be the high point for returns, though, because I'm not sure anybody else is quite as attractive as Lucas Giolito.
Absolutely.
Very surprised. My phone was dead after the game, and so I had to find out when I was talking to Sox of the Basement host Chris Lanuti, and he informed me at Cork and Carry that the trade had gone through. I was like, no way. Like, why would they at night? What? Okay, word. All right, cool. And so when I saw it, I was like kind of filled with sadness because the person of Lucas Giolito and, of course, Reynaldo López, they both came over together from the Washington Nationals, not the Nationals like we're at right now. But I feel sad that the player is gone from the White Sox. I thought that, he could lead this new whatever it's going to be in the future to some greatness. I mean, still, they still have the opportunity, and I think Rick spoke about it, to sign him as a free agent, both Reynaldo and Lucas Giolito. But that's more unlikely to happen. So when he left, and I was like, it's tough to lose a player like that, but he deserves to go for a championship. And I don't know if the Angels are going to get to the playoffs, but they're going for it. So it's a little heartening that they're actually going for it and going to keep Shohei Ohtani there, and then Lucas gets to play with that guy.
I think Reynaldo López coming back would make sense, but Rick also said he would love to see Carlos Rodon back in a White Sox uniform and Jose Abreu. So I don't really take that I mean, they are available
Those are true.
to sign.
He would like to have seen them back, but it didn't work out that way, did it?
Right. I don't have too much hope for Lucas to return, but hopefully he has a good time in Los Angeles. Same with Reynaldo López. We got the chat going. Matthew Lucas said he's really only watching games because you all put in work to provide content for fans of this godforsaken franchise. Sox content community is awesome and worth supporting. Thank you, Matthew Lucas. And AJ's announcing that he's officially in his villain era. I do get it. Also, someone said Gene Lamont.
Perfect.
So.
If only Gene Lamont would have gone in to live in Lamont.
Gene Lamont in Lamont. And Cicero. Is there Cicero run through Lamont?
Probably.
I don't know.
I don't know. That might be a little far west.
It does not.
Yeah.
It does not.
Yeah. A little far west, right, Steve?
As your local suburb expert.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Our one suburban resident over here,
right.
Steven, needs to inform us on suburban geography.
But Lucas, I think the big thing that he leaves is a massive impression. A lot of people are saying the rebuild is over, and that was a large part of the rebuild starting was that Lucas, Reynaldo López, and Dane Dunning return for Adam Eaton. What is the lasting impression Lucas has left on this organization? Rick Hahn talked about the private conversation that they had, how emotional Lucas was, and how he talked about the trust that this organization has given him. What moments stick out from Lucas's career that show how we got to this point where he's getting two of the top three prospects from different organizations?
Yeah, I mean, if you really look at it, obviously we're still in the middle of what Luis Robert Jr. and Dylan Cease are doing, right? The book is still very much open on their careers, or their White Sox careers specifically. Tim Anderson's might be nearing the end as he's scheduled for free agency after next year, should they pick up the option. And obviously he's become one of the faces of baseball, in my opinion, at times during that tenure. Yep. But other than TA and other than the to-be-continued aspect of Robert and Cease, no player during this rebuilding era was probably more accomplished than Lucas Giolito. And I leave out Jose Abreu because he was here well before that rebuild era began. Mm-hmm. Lucas Giolito went from a prospect acquired to kickstart the rebuild, to be that one of those guys to help them to the glory days, right? And though the glory days didn't come for the team or haven't come for the team to this point, the glory days came for Lucas. I mean, the guy went from worst pitcher in baseball to an all-star to an ace of the staff basically for the majority of his time in a White Sox uniform. You can debate that term as much as you'd like, but guy threw a no-hitter. Obviously, that moment sticks out to me more even so than Carlos Rodon's no-hitter, just because it was the first of them, I guess, and just a moment that continued his ascension from where he started.
And you guys were one of the few people who saw that.
That's true. I was in the ballpark for that one, and no fans were able to be that year. But then to go and have that tremendous playoff performance in Oakland, and then have a very nice 2021 season as well. Obviously, the down year last year, but 3 years in a row of finishing top 11 in the Cy Young. I mean, the lasting legacy of Lucas Giolito is he's one of the better pitchers the White Sox have seen since Chris Sale left.
Yeah, and I think that some fans want to always poo-poo Lucas, and like Vinny was saying, alluding to about the word ace, and we say his name, Luke Ace Giolito, and so when he has the struggles in 2020, people are like, see, told you, Lucas sucks. But that is the thing I love about Lucas. 2018, we already said, worst pitcher in baseball, comes back and gets his stuff together with the help of Ethan Katz. And that is another legacy that Lucas will leave. He got his high school coach hired pretty much for the White Sox. I mean, got the job done.
He was in the majors already.
I understand, but, that's the guy. If he doesn't help Lucas, is he here? Probably not. More than likely not. So the adversity he has faced in his life, and he perseveres through that. And you could see through games where he struggles early in games, and then he adjusts to what he has in front of him and says, okay, they've been hitting my fastball pretty hard. Let me throw my changeup. Let me throw my slider. And he's that pitcher that I think Michael Kopech should have sat right next to and said, hey, man, what do you do with the stuff that you have? Because he doesn't have good stuff as Michael Kopech does, but he gets people out. And there's a reason why the Angels came for him. Because the Angels are trying to go to that next level, and they need that probably mid to upper level starting rotation pitcher, and that's what Lucas is. And Reynaldo López, same thing. Like, he went the opposite way. Had a great 2018, and we were thinking, okay, here we go. And then he has faltered in his career since but then reinvented himself as a great bullpen guy. Last year, struggled early this year, and has come back to be the guy that's kind of reliable. So I think the Angels are getting some quality arms right there, and the return to me is surprising because I'm thinking about the White Sox and how I view them, but the rest of the league views White Sox players as premium talents because they got their two of their top 3 prospects coming back. That's nothing to shake your finger at.
But it is a seller's market. I think that's the biggest thing that's clear. And, we kind of kept laying that out, even all the way back in May. It's just like the White Sox are really the only team that's bad with anything appealing. Like the Royals
and
are.
a lot of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. The Royals are bad, but they're also just like not interesting. The A's are bad, and they just traded away their one interesting player to the Orioles. They're kind of done. Like all the White Sox kind of have all the prettiest eggs. I don't know what
prettiest eggs.
Farmers market selling eggs. I don't know. What do you sell? I guess cards. You could sell baseball cards. The prettiest baseball cards.
There you
the
go.
most minted of baseball cards.
A Don Ross.
But I agree with your point too about Ethan Katz. Like Lucas's reformation change in 2018 to 2019 is basically now the entire White Sox pitching mentality. Like we see Lucas shorten up his arm swing. We now see that with Dylan and Jimmy Lambert, right? Davis Martin too. Like a lot of what helped Lucas from 2018 to 2019 is what Ethan Katz is teaching all of the players that come into this organization. And there's so many moments, like you mentioned, the no-hitter, the game in Oakland in that postseason that Pedro wanted to tap into this year. But that 2019 season was truly just amazing to watch because he was so bad. And then he kind of started the season bad. And then in the 6th game in May 7th, went 7 1/3, 3 hits, 3 walks, 8 Ks against the Guardians. And it just kind of felt like he first showed that intensity, that oh, I got this. I'm really settling in. And then from there, he had an ERA all the way till August 21st of 3.03. And then he kind of started to get inflated, right? Like around July 20th, it was 3.12. Then he gave up 7 earned runs, got up to 3.52. It was around 3.41 going into August 21st at Minnesota. Complete game, 3-hitter, no walks, 12 strikeouts, and that's the groundwork basically of the no-hitter and the 2020 game. He gained that confidence. He understood, hey, I can just dominate, and he did. And it's really exciting to see him healthy this year. And we talk about this with Liam, but it does seem like Lucas, the person, is just an insanely quality person, insanely nice and generous person. We hear a lot of the media really resounding that Lucas has been so mature, and he is just so, a pro. He's always been a professional. You bring up the story with Mike Rizzo when he was signing, trying to get the most for what he was. He's always been coming into professional baseball to be a pro, and we see the groundwork laid by his parents, Rick and Lindsay. They really raised a good kid. So, it sucks that he's leaving the organization. Rick Hahn kind of talked about that. We got sound from him signaling whether this is a rebuild. Also talked about the players they got back, so we'll kind of talk about the direction of the franchise after our first break. Want to let you know, though, about our friends over at Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary. Right now, they have a great sale. We got our code CHGO25. Use it at checkout for 25% off your total order. 1 use per customer. It's not stackable with other promotions, and that's not just for new customers. Anyone can use our code. So pick up everything you need to elevate your summer. They got a ton of in-house brands like Mindy's, Good News, Cresco, High Supply, FloraCal, Wonder, Remedy, and if you don't know what those brands are, maybe you're a newbie or a novice to the cannabis world, their bud tenders will help you. It's a one-stop shop for all your cannabis needs, no matter where you are on your cannabis journey. They have easy online ordering and in-store pickup, and they have great, transparent loyalty program, Sunnyside Rewards. And they have dispensaries all the way from the city to the suburbs, Wrigleyville to River North, Champaign to South Beloit. Maybe Lamont as well. I don't know.
Rosemont to Lamont.
Rosemont. So again, through August, head to sunnyside.shop and use code CHGO25 at checkout for 25% off your total order. 1 use per customer, not stackable with other promotions. And that's not only for new customers. Anyone can use our code to pick up everything you need to elevate your summer with Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary. Must be 21 plus or an Illinois Med card holder. And want to let you know about our friends at Lewis. That one is in Romeoville, not a Mont.
Correct.
It's close enough to Lamont.
Is it?
Yes.
Steven, suburb?
It's not very far. It's
Okay.
Romeoville's just a little north of Lamont.
All right, north of Lamont, 35 miles southwest of Chicago in Romeoville. Lewis University have students that are just like you. They have full-time jobs, families, and full-time sports fandoms. To go back to school to earn a respected degree at Lewis University. If you're looking to complete your bachelor's degree or master's degree or enroll in a professional certificate program, Lewis has the right program for you. They have grad programs in criminal justice and public safety, data science, computer science, cybersecurity, business analytics. My guy who works at 7-Eleven is getting his master's program over at Lewis University. My guy Ashish, shout out. They also have adult undergrad programs in computer science, aviation maintenance technology certification, business analytics, criminal justice, business programs, technology programs, and my cousin went there for nursing after she didn't love her first choice in college, and she finished her degree over at Lewis University.
So did Jay Zawoski.
So did Jay. Where's Jay? Oh, he's gone.
He's wandering. He's exploring the grounds here, I think. Yeah.
He's in Lamont. Discover how a degree from Lewis University can help you build a better world. Learn more at lewisu.edu/YOU can do this. So, Vinny, crazy game, 10-7.
Yeah.
But then you're kind of saying, like, there's a little bit of a, I don't know what was going on after the game, right? Kind of a waiting pattern, a holding pattern. You're hot, sweating. Mark Carmen's bugging you. And then finally they say, hey, Rick Hahn's coming out, check your phones. What was that like, just having that unknown of, hey, who's getting traded? Or why are we waiting around? Because it was late night, like you were saying. I mean, I wasn't expecting it. You weren't expecting it. Didn't seem like the media was expecting it. That's just kind of the time that we're in. I mean, a deal could happen right now as we're talking.
Yeah, and especially, too, with the White Sox and the large number of players that they've had rumored to be of interest to other clubs. I mean, literally yesterday was yesterday was a metaphorical wave of rumors throughout the whole day. I mean, we had a lot about Lance Lynn earlier in the day, the Rays, the Dodgers. Then we're talking about Joe Kelly. Then we're talking about Dylan Cease. Then we're talking about Aaron Bummer. I mean, those national reporter types who are doing all the talking this time of year, we're bringing up all those guys. And so, you got to be on your toes in a way and expect anything to happen at any time. Giolito, of course, was the supposed big fish. And so to see him be the one who was traded, not super surprising in the end, other than the timing that I spoke about earlier. But there was a question asked of Pedro in the pregame media session. Hey, is Lance going to start? What do you do if Lance gets traded? And of course, Pedro's like, well, he hasn't been traded. Why would I? We're prepared for whatever kind of thing. But that is this time of year. You've always got to kind of be ready for that. And I'll say this: when things do get when the wait after a game gets longer and longer, you do kind of expect something transactional to be occurring.
Absolutely. Let's set up Rick Hahn, because then after waiting, you got to speak to Rick Hahn, hear from Rick Hahn. The timing was peculiar. We'll hear from Rick Hahn about the rebuild, the return that they got, and what it signals. I did think that Lucas was definitely going to make another start with the Sox, and it was surprising to see him traded.
It was supposed to be tomorrow.
Last night, supposed to start after Dylan Cease on Friday. Let's hear from Rick Hahn on what this signals and if it signals a rebuild.
Do you look at this as, I don't know if it's fair to ask you, but is this the start of another rebuild? Is this?
Let's over the course of the next week or so, we're going to make the moves that make sense to put us in the best position going forward in terms of declaring, titles or where we're at for the organization going forward. There'll be plenty of time for that come.
But you're obviously subtracting
September,
some
October.
Key veterans and adding very young players.
Yeah, guys that were free agents at the end of the 23 season, and
right.
unfortunately the 23 season isn't working out the way we wanted, so I think it makes prudence, business, and strategic sense to add future assets for those that are becoming free agents.
Were you fielding a lot of calls for these two pitchers?
We've been busy. There's been a lot of calls. We've been pretty, I would say, fairly popular based upon the fact that we do have several quality arms in particular available, and those are usually what most contenders are looking to acquire this time of year.
You mentioned the youth of the guys that you got back.
Mm-hmm.
Is this a trade that you think improves your chances for 2024, or is it for further down the road?
Yeah, it's certainly a long-term positioning on both these guys. Again, Querro is 20. He's third or so youngest player in the Southern League. So to say he's going to be on the opening day roster in 24 might be a tick aggressive. Both he and Bush have the ability to contribute next year, we believe, but certainly not going to rush the development. They're going to let them, they'll declare their own pace. As all y'all know around the game, catcher development can be a little quirky. There can be fits and starts. Sometimes the offense is ahead of the defense or vice versa, and you got to wait for those things to even out. So far, again, as an extremely young player at a high level, at an advanced level, he's performed very well, and the defense continues to make positive strides to match where he was offensively when he was in A-ball. So very optimistic about the development path for both these players, but not quite ready to put a timeline on them.
How would you describe your mindset of just getting into the right headspace to do what you have to do right now?
Yeah, look, unfortunately, I've had several weeks to get to that headspace. I'm certainly not going to lie. The idea that we're at this point where guys like Giolito and Lopez, who we acquired back at 16 when we sort of kicked off a rebuild in earnest, are now the guys that logically made sense to move given their contract status. There's an element of real deep disappointment that we're at this point right now. There wasn't more postseason victories along the way as part of their tenure with the White Sox. But in terms of that, frankly, we have a job to do right now. I'll have time come August 2nd to, have a drink and a cigar, and if I want to wallow in disappointment, do it then. But now is not the time. Now's the time to continue to improve the future of this organization, and I think we did that tonight.
As you consider the more moves over the next few days, is your intention to position the team to be competitive right away next season? Again,
we're looking to brighten the future of this club, and we're not going to force a timeline in terms of the targets. We're going to get as much talent and as high caliber talent as possible. Talent that's closer to contributing certainly is more appealing than that's farther away, but just about every club's going to feel that same way, so that's nothing too unique.
Anything else? All right.
So that's Rick Hahn after making the Lucas Giolito and Reynaldo López trade to the Angels. Questions from Scott Merkin, Vinnie Duber, and Mark Carmen. A lot of CHGO representation there. Mark Carmen was up in 529 last night. You weren't. I'm just saying.
Where were it was a sellout.
You could have stopped by.
37,200 plus inside guaranteed rate field. Is there a place for me to sit?
No, there wasn't.
I feel like you could have invited us to the press box.
You know what? I could not have. That is not. I do not have that authority.
You're having the same reaction Rick Hahn did when Scott asked him that question. Oh, geez. It's the same
Rightfully
reaction.
So.
Yeah, I think most Sox fans have about, is this another rebuild? I don't think Rick knows the state of the team yet. This boat that's sinking to the bottom of the ocean has not settled yet.
You're not wrong, but also the front office has picked a direction. They know what they're trying to accomplish this trade deadline. What they haven't done is told us what that direction is. And to be fair, they might not accomplish what they want to accomplish, or they might accomplish something different. Other opportunities might present themselves, and there could be a different picture than they're anticipating by the time we reach Tuesday night. That being said, he just hasn't been vocal about what the goal is, what they want to do. And so what they do want to do, which is obvious, is they want to get good players, right? And he was talking about that. He wants to get players that can help them in the long term. But does that long term begin in 2024? Does that long term begin further down the road? We don't know yet. And maybe they don't know yet exactly. But, for example, the guys they got in this trade last night, Edgar Querro, a very highly rated catching prospect. Hey, you're going to need a catcher next year. Mm-hmm. But it's not as easy as plugging in a guy who's 20 years old who just made it to Double-A. So did that solve a problem for 2024? No, it did not. That trade last night probably did not do that, even though he did throw in the caveat of, maybe they could make a contribution of some sort. We don't know if that's going to be possible or not. And so they are going to have to make moves if they want to contend in 2024 to address, for example, catcher, which Querro plays, or starting pitcher, which Kai Busch is. Kai Busch is a starting pitcher, but don't pencil him into the rotation for next year. So the move that was made last night was a good move for the long term. It was a very stereotypical trade deadline move, considering both Giolito and Lopez are going to be free agents at the end of the year. You can't point to that deal last night and say, another rebuild incoming or another long-term thing incoming. It was pretty regular. And so that is a very important question. Are they starting a new rebuild? Are they going to try to contend in 2024? But we don't have an answer to it yet.
So there was a report during the game from Eno Sarah saying, here in the White Sox are telling teams they're on set being competitive in 2024. So I'd take Tim Anderson off, players that could be traded. What do you make, of this? Do you think that they're going to keep Tim Anderson and it's the expiring deals like Joe Kelly, who has a club option next year, are out the door? Or maybe, Aaron Bummer does interest somebody because he's a lefty with control.
Lance Lynn.
Lance Lynn as well. Do you expect it to be bullpen and expiring deals? Or, do you still feel like Tim might be on the chopping block?
I've always thought that Tim might not be on the chopping block because of the bad season that he's had. And so if they're thinking, and Sarah's a very reliable source, that they're going to be competing 2024, why wouldn't they? This division is crap. Keeping Tim and getting the Tim that we normally see is key to that. And so trading him now would make zero sense for me. But, anything that's not locked down for an extended period of time, like Aaron Bummer to me seems like a give up if you trade him now. I know a lot of teams need a left-handed reliever, but he's actually has a pretty good xFIP. His numbers are better than the actual traditional numbers that you put out there. And I know he's the whipping boy of White Sox fans, as Joe Kelly was the whipping boy of White Sox fans last year. But he pitched much better than the numbers would indicate. And so keeping him, unless you're getting something that is just this guy can play and contribute to the 2024 White Sox, I think that'll be a little too far-fetched. But anything that isn't like locked down, like Joe Kelly and his $8 million, same thing Kendall Graveman and his $8 million, those players can go. And I think they would actually have value because you have the extra year for those guys for the teams that they're getting traded to. So I think that maybe they can do a quick retool, but I don't think it's a full-scale rebuild. If you do trade Tim Anderson, that's a rebuild.
Yeah, there's still some worries about the rotation, the bullpen for 2024, but it does seem like the lineup is somewhat there if they do keep Tim Anderson. Tim at short, second base. Jake Berger is looking fine. He's got a homer already. You got Yoan at third base if he's healthy. Andrew Vaughn at first base. Eloy is the DH. Benny in left. Robert in center. Kolas has a great arm. I love watching him play defense. I don't know if he can hit yet.
Yeah.
But then catcher, it's not the most secure, the most exciting position with Sebi and Carlos Perez, but it's catcher. It's the worst position in baseball. I'm just really concerned about this rotation. Let's talk about some of the pieces that they got back. And also, I do want to extend an invitation to Rick Hahn. He said, I'll have time to come August 2nd to have a drink and a cigar if I want to wallow in disappointment. We love wallowing in disappointment. Come on to the CHGO White Sox podcast. We'll let you drink and smoke. But he acquired two players. You said Ken Rosenthal said it was a coup. I think ESPN rated it a B-plus return for the Sox. Querro and Kai Busch. I have concerns with Kai Busch because you mentioned starting pitcher. The most amount of innings he has is 103, and Rick talked about some of the injuries that he's gone through this year. I think a lat strain in the groin. I'm just concerned that we might have similar issues with Michael Kopech, right? It's not a huge inning base for a starting pitcher. And really, you look at his college year, it was interrupted by COVID. He went from Washington State to St. Mary's. Seems like he's gone through a lot of changes. Maybe some security could help him grow and figure that out.
Well, I think, you're comparing him to Michael Kopech. Let's see if he gets to where Michael Kopech got first.
That's
fair. These guys are young guys. They're at Double-A. It's not, years and years away from the big leagues, but they've got a lot of development left to go. And we've talked about guys throughout the rebuilding process who were supposed to be part of that rotation, part of the bullpen, part of the lineup, who stumbled along the way. Where's Alec Hansen today? Where are some of the other guys that we said, they're going to they got more starting pitchers than they can handle, and then they still have to go out and get Lynn and Clevenger and Keuchel and all the rest of these guys. So you're going to have to let the development take its course. And so within those two guys specifically, you're going to have to dial your mind back to the rebuilding days a little bit and say, all right, let them cook and wait until they're done. Wait until that comes along. Is Edgar Querro the catcher of the future for the White Sox right now? Certainly should be. Should be considered that right now. But he's 20 years old. And so he's, if I'm looking at 2024 and the White Sox are trying to compete, Sebi Zavala earns a lot of really good compliments from what he does working with this White Sox pitching staff, but the dude's hitting 150. He's had a lot of at-bats this year, and he's hitting 150.
Exactly.
If you're looking to improve a lineup that the offensive numbers are pretty bad across the board, there are a few opportunities to do that. You got to go out and get a catcher who can hit. Yeah. You got to go out and get a second baseman who can hit. Jake Berger has a whole lot of home runs. He's batting about 215, I think. His on-base percentage under 300. There are some decisions that they're going to need to make this offseason because there are contracts, big league contracts, holding a lot of guys down at a lot of these positions. If you have a few spots to improve where that is not the case, you got to look at those. You got to look at those opportunities.
I mean, Querro's a top 100 prospect rated by MLB, and so it's like getting a catcher like that, switch hitting catcher who's 20 years old, already in AA, I think is a coup for the players that they got back. Querro had really nowhere to go in the Angels system. They already have Matt Tice as a catcher on their Major League squad, and then Logan O'Hoppe, big-time prospect, their number one prospect, is also a catcher. So he really wasn't going to be on an Angels roster in the near future anyway. So that's a good get for the White Sox. And then Ky Bush, I mean, I don't know if he's a starter. Hopefully, but also with Querro, he had blockage. In the starting rotation right now, you got Sandoval already, and you got Detmers. So that's 2 lefty starters. Are you going to have 3 lefty starters in your starting rotation? That's going to be tough. And so for the White Sox and Rick Hahn and Kenny Williams to get the players that they got for Lucas and Reynaldo, I think was a steal. I'm not an analyst, especially of prospects, but from what the people are telling me, like the Aaron Laytons of the world, they say the White Sox got a steal right here for the people that they're dealing away.
And we will be joined by Brody the Kid in about 10 minutes. It is the National Sports Collection
Collectors Convention.
Collectors Convention. The National. I'm not going to be cute about it.
We should have given you those 4 words, and you could have said them in a mirror like 1,000 times this morning when you woke up.
I was too busy saying Edgar Querro in the mirror.
Querro means I want.
I want him to be good.
Mm-hmm.
Baseball Prospectus put out their top 50 mid-season prospect list about 2 weeks ago. Querro was 37 on that list. They wrote why he will succeed. I don't know if there's a prospect other than Ethan Salas who got an aggressive assignment in 2023. After a breakout season in the Cal League in 2022, the switch-hitting catcher jumped straight to AA, where he had to contend with the tack ball both at the plate and behind it. He was held to his own with the bat and made strides with receiving at the same time. The top-line numbers don't look amazing, but the power is still there, and he remains one of the best catching prospects in baseball. While he might fail, he might not stick a catcher, and the bat doesn't have much impact at a corner spot, testing out what to make of his offensive line given the level skip and different baseball makes this catcher even weirder. So it is a very, very interesting player. He's 20 years young. When he started the minor league season, he just turned 20, right? His birthday's April 6th. That was the opening day of the minor league season.
Dude was born in 2003. How old did that make you feel?
Right. And he was 20 this year.
And one of the youngest players in AA as well.
Yeah. And it's not crazy to see him struggling, like Baseball Prospectus says, but I don't know if he's really struggling. He is a switching hitting catcher who walks a ton. From the left-handed side, he has 17 walks and 11 strikeouts. From the right-handed side, 11 walks, 17 walks, 11 strikeouts. From the left-handed side, 38 walks, 42 strikeouts. The power really isn't there, but also you saw some power in April, 424 slugging. In July, it's over 340. It was only at 308 and 278 in May and June. This is a very young player with an aggressive assignment. The Sox might be even able to send him down. Maybe go to Winston-Salem, maybe go to Kannapolis. This is a player that, if grown correctly, he could be just not even a negative at the catcher position offensively, which we've seen so much around baseball. That's why Yasmani Grandal got $72 million, because he was the best offensive catcher. So if he does have the ability to get on base, move the lineup, and then give us, 7 home runs or something from the catcher position and be a neutral defender, that's a great get for Lucas Giolito, who's going out the door, and Reynaldo López. Ky Bush can turn out to be nothing, and you got a future catcher, and that's one of the most important positions, especially with how weak it is. So it's a fun prospect to have in the organization. I'm really excited to see what Querro does. I have a lot of more worries about Ky Bush, but if he does end up in right or left field, I might have a fit. Let's just put him at catcher. I've watched Yasmani Grandal for the last 3 years. I don't care if he can't catch.
Doesn't Querro automatically go to the top 3 prospects the White Sox have in their system?
If not 2.
He's a top 100 guy. We got Colson Montgomery there.
Where Schultz is.
Schultz, I think
Schultz is 97.
Yeah, Schultz is at the bottom of the 100. So yeah, Querro should be their number 2 prospect now, if you're looking at MLB.com at least. Yeah.
We got 3 of them. Let's go. 3 top 100 prospects.
Get some more.
Yeah, it's an exciting time, and I do think that I know a lot of people are frustrated just with the fact that you have to get Lucas out the door, and Rick talked about that. It's just disappointing that in 2016. They went out and got Reynaldo and Lucas in that trade, and now they have to ship them out at this time. I think that's the resounding feeling of Sox fans is they just don't want to do this over again. They had to deal with this with Lucas and Reynaldo, like, oh, hey, look at all the potential in these players. Like, we have all the potential in the world in the 2023 Sox, and a lot of fans are saying this is the most disappointing season in Sox history.
I mean, yeah, Yohan Moncada was a much more highly rated prospect than Querro.
Yeah.
Eloy Jimenez was a more highly rated prospect than Querro. Kopech and Cease all took their turns in the top 10 prospects. I mean, this is what you should be used to seeing, right? Is what you should be used to, getting a highly rated prospect and hoping that he turns out. It's the turning out part that the White Sox haven't been able to put together, not necessarily so much on an individual level as on a team-wide level. And so, yeah, obviously the next few days we are going to be laser-focused on who's going where, what they're getting back, and what the future looks like. But do not lose sight of the fact that take the zoom-out lens. It is ridiculous and damn near inconceivable that this is where this White Sox team is right now. They're 21 games below 500, and the guys that were supposed to be taking them to annual championship contention are getting traded away for more prospects.
And that's the sad part about it, because the people who are responsible are not going anywhere. I wish they had some type of culpability, some type of accountability for their actions, but they're just going to run it back after 11 years there and Kenny for 20-plus years there. So it's like I'm heartened by the good moves. Thank you, Rick Hahn. But also, he's more than earned dismissal or reassignment from the position he's at, and 100% Kenny, too.
And they're seemingly going to run back this uninspiring team in 2024. I mean,
they have to. They're in a position where they've already made that investment. And they have to. It's what we talked about last offseason with how this was tough to make this roster budge. And I think they're, at least from a position player standpoint, they're going to be very much in the same position this offseason.
And thank you to everyone watching us right now. We got over 80 people joining us. We are live from the National. So make sure you're hitting that thumbs up button. We're being joined by a Sox fan and a collector in just a second. Want to let you know about some of our great sponsors, though. Take on the sun with gear built to last. Shady Rays, our friends at Shady Rays have you covered with the warm weather ahead with premium polarized shades at an affordable price. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company that offers a world-class product that's just as good as any expensive pair we've worn. They're a lot better than all the cheap pairs I was buying myself. I treated myself to sunglasses with durable frames and extremely clear optics for outdoor adventures. And Shady Rays offers the most insane protection program in all of eyewear. If you are clumsy like me, every pair of sunglasses backed by lost and broken replacements. You don't need to worry if you lose or break your pair, even on day one. Tulsa, they will send you a brand new pair. No questions asked. Wear your Shady Rays with confidence because they have your back long after your purchase. And if you don't love your Shady Rays, exchange them for a new pair. Return them for free within 30 days. There's no risk when you shop. Their team always has your back. Exclusive for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Go to shadyrays.com and use code CHGO for 50% off 2+ pairs of polarized shades. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 250,000 people. Again, code CHGO at shadyrays.com for 50% off 2+ pairs of polarized shades. Also want to let you know about our friends over at DraftKings Sportsbook. I won some money on DraftKings Sportsbook last night with Cody Bellinger's 8th inning home run. New customers can download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code CHGO. Bet just $5 to score $150 in bonus bets instantly. That's code CHGO only at DraftKings Sportsbook. This isn't a DraftKings Pick of the Week segment, but why not give one out? The White Sox are playing the Guardians tonight. Last time I checked, Guardians are at minus 105 on the money line. That's close enough to even money for me to take. Even though Dylan Cease is starting, Cleveland's been kind of pesky. Pesky? Yeah, pesky with Dylan Cease recently. It seems like, last time he's been facing them, 8 hits, 9 hits. They've been able to make some contact.
The Guards are not far behind the Twins in the AL Central standings, by the way, too.
And they just got Noah Syndergaard.
Maybe they chase down the Twins. Maybe the Guards go back to the playoffs for the second year in a row.
I'd like that. I mean, hey, I'll root for Jose Ramirez. I mean, that guy's so fun awesome to watch. Hopefully, Edgar Querro turns into catching Jose Ramirez. Ooh. That'd be fun. But terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/baseball terms. And again, sign up with code CHGO only at DraftKings Sportsbook. New customers bet $5 to score $150 in bonus bets instantly. And finally, we want to let you know about our friends over at Pins and Aces. They're going to be helping us with our fantastic golf outing on August 25th over at Cog Hill. When you buy a ticket, you get 18 holes, a 9 a.m. shotgun start, and a CHGO and Pins and Aces crossover polo for all players. But Pins and Aces is the official golf apparel partner of all CHGO and ALLCITY. of CHGO and ALLCITY. We love our Pins and Aces gear and get tons of compliments on and off the course. Our guy Steven hit up Arizona and was looking fly, getting compliments on the course. They're a family-owned golf and apparel business. They make amazing polos, hats, golf bags, and even our favorite beer sleeve, an innovative product that allows you to store 7 beers inside your golf bag and keep the drinks cold the entire round. Check out pinsandaces.com and use code CHGO to receive 15% off your first order and get free shipping. That's pinsandaces.com. All right, we are joined now by Brody the Kid. Hi, Brody.
What's up, guys?
Nothing much. You can follow Brody on Instagram at BrodyTheKid1. This is basically your Super Bowl, right?
Yeah. The National Sports Collectors Convention is the Super Bowl for cards. That's how I put it.
What's your golden goose? What are you looking for here? What card would you just be thrilled to go home with?
Oh, I would love to get a Roberto Clemente rookie card. He was my favorite player of all time. I love a Roberto Clemente rookie card.
They had baseball cards back then?
Yeah. There's that one of like Honus Wagner from 1901.
Hey, I'm not a collector.
Who's the young person here, you or Brody?
I think it's Brody.
Brody, I just wanted to know how you got started on collecting cards, because as a kid back in the 90s, we collected cards all the time, and I thought that had waned. Now I come here, it's like, no, it hasn't waned at all. So how did you get started?
Well, my dad actually collected a lot of cards back in the 80s and 90s, too. So he introduced to me when I was a kid, like when I was like about 5, and I was a huge wrestling WWE fan. And it carried on when I started playing baseball, football, basketball, all those sports. And it continued when I started collecting those sports, too. And it's just continued to now where I'm at the National Sports Collectors Convention.
We had some old 80s packs of cards in the office a few months back. What's the oldest pack of baseball cards that you've ever opened?
I think it was 1981 Donruss. I did it a couple months back. I think on my daily rip. I think it was the oldest one I've done.
Did you eat the gum inside?
Yeah, we ate the gum.
I think it's still stuck on the car. I think I just saw it the other day when I was going through a box, actually.
And who was in the pack? Anybody good?
I don't think so. 81 Donruss is a little stale set. Yeah. Very thin cards.
Yeah.
First year of Donruss, very thin cards.
Why the gum sticks to it. I would give you a recommendation for the gum. It's not that bad. It's very chalky. But what's the daily rip? Is it I know you got your YouTube channel, Brody the Kid. Is that on your Instagram? What are you doing on your Instagram? What are you doing on your YouTube channel?
Yeah, so I do it on my Instagram and my Twitter. I open a pack of cards every day, and I just talk about a different product every day, do a different pack of cards every day.
You're a White Sox fan. We heard that.
Yes.
How's that going?
Oh, boy. Not great. I mean, at least we got the number 2 and number 3 prospect from the Angels.
That's what we've been talking about. I mean, are you upset Giolito's gone, or are you seeing some of the silver linings here with the 2 and 3 prospects from the Angels coming over?
I mean, I like that we got a catcher. I do like that because Rondal has not lived up to what we expected. He was good the first year, and then he's kind of been, okay. And, we'll see how it turns out. I honestly, I wish we would have kept Reynaldo. I liked Reynaldo. I thought he was a decent reliever. He didn't have a great start to the year, but he seemed like he was doing a little bit better. And last year he was very useful and had a pretty good year. But yeah, I think number 2 and number 3 is pretty decent for 2 pitchers.
On the hunt for an Edgar Querro card here at the show.
Edgar Querro.
He's the catcher.
That's the catcher.
That's the catcher. Okay. I couldn't remember the exact names off the top of my head.
He's 20. I don't know if he has a card yet.
Yeah, when do they start making rookie cards? Do you have to be because if he's in spring training next year, will he get a rookie card?
Well, there's first Bowman cards. So first Bowman cards come in Bowman, and they are basically their first card that they get, and they could be anywhere really from about 18 and under, really. So Jason Dominguez, the big Yankees young prospect, he actually got a card. I think he was about 17 when he got his first card, and it was a huge deal. One of his cards sold for about $450,000, I think, was the price on one of his cards.
Absolutely. Dollars?
Yeah, and he hasn't made a major
yet. And he's a minor league player.
Yes.
Wow. Does he have $450,000? He should try selling his own card.
That's a good question. Yeah.
And I wanted to know, since you do collect cards, what is your most valuable White Sox card in your collection right now?
Ooh, that's a good question. I don't know. You caught me right there,
you
man.
got like a 1998 Jose Valentin.
He's a big Robin Ventura guy.
Those are worth nothing.
I bet he's got a 2001 Royce Clayton somewhere.
Those are when you see trash cards, do you just immediately throw them away, or do you just keep them in the collection?
I just keep them in the collection. I keep them in the boxes.
Okay.
How many boxes do you have?
Oh, I don't know. That's 200 plus. I mean, white boxes. I mean, there's so many white boxes in my cabinet. It drives my mom crazy.
Like shoe boxes or like
just
office boxes?
Just like white boxes that Ultra Pro has here at the National.
Oh, okay. You guys have like special collector boxes.
Yes.
Okay.
So
We've done a lot here.
Yeah. So how big is this convention we're at? This is the convention of all conventions.
This is the convention, and it is so many tables. And if you think this convention's huge, it's huge because they about almost doubled in size this year. It's crazy. Last year was in Atlantic City, and it was big, but this like whole room over here wasn't here. And like that room and all this area just wasn't here, and now it's here, and it's mind-blowing to me. And I've gone here like 6 times. It's crazy.
I've seen the list of people here. Is there anybody in particular, a celebrity that you're looking to meet and get an autograph from?
Anthony Edwards was one that caught my eye. I'm a big Georgia Bulldogs fan. I know it's kind of random, but it kind of runs through my family. So he was kind of one that caught my eye. In terms of older guys, Chipper Jones is a good one.
Oh, wow.
Ron Kittle I saw was on the list, which is pretty cool.
Kitty.
Yes.
Can make you a bench out of bats and balls. True.
Chipper Jones being old makes me feel old.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, that's all right. I took it as an insult, but I'm going to let it go. It's okay.
But Brody said his favorite player is Roberto Clemente.
That's true.
That's true. I didn't, I know he didn't see any of the games live. I didn't see any of the games live, but it's good that a youngster has gone back and enjoyed some great play from one of the greatest players of all time and one of the great humans too, humanitarians.
Yeah, I think this. I love to get kids back into the hobby of card collecting, and I mean that's where I started. And I mean, Roberto Clemente, obviously none of the kids could watch him, but they can research about him. He's a great human, great ball player.
A legend. And hey, I mean, maybe they'll retire his jersey. I mean, they're even doing Roberto
League-wide?
Clemente Day.
Could be. Could be.
That's been great. Make sure you follow Brody on Twitter at BrodyTheKid1. Go watch his daily and rip. All right. His YouTube. And his
How do you
Instagram.
spell that? How many I's in that?
3 eyes.
Okay,
Exactly
gotcha.
3.
Gotcha.
Exactly 3.
Good to know.
I like that he spelled it phonetically,
Yeah.
too. Make sure you follow Brody the Kid on Instagram at BrodyTheKid1 and on YouTube, Brody the Kid. Over 600,000 square feet here in Rosemont at the Donald E. Stevens Convention Center, the Super Bowl of collecting. So thank you, Brody, for joining us, telling us about your hobby. And if you do want to come down, I mean, it's going on right now, Friday, Saturday, and I think Sunday. So a ton of days to come out here, collect, meet all your favorite athletes. Like Brody's going to meet Anthony Edwards and the old Chipper Jones. But make sure you follow Brody on Instagram. I'm Sean Anderson. That's Vinnie Duber. You can read his latest piece at allchgo.com with quotes from Rick Hahn about the Lucas Giolito trade. Some of the ones that we played today, but also a little bit more in-depth. So check that out at allchgo.com. You can follow him on Twitter at Vinnie Duber. He's our CHGO White Sox beat writer. We'll be at the park tonight. We'll have a post-game show. Herb and I will be joining you, and then Vinnie will join us a little later after chatting with the folks. That's Herb Lawrence. You can follow him on Twitter at ActorWall23. I'm Sean Anderson. You can follow me on Twitter at Sean_W_Anderson. You can follow the show at CHGO_White Sox. We got CHGO Cubs coming up next. Thank you to Brody the Kid for joining us, and we will talk to you later tonight for the postgame.